Initiating hyperspace launch sequence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What the frick is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unhinged. What's the name of What's the name of our podcast?
I can't believe you just did that.
Uncaged
you're
Creativity.
the one that came up with
Uncaged.
There you go.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Uncaged Creativity Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Sherman, here with my dear friend and co-host,
Christian Carranza.
That's what
You had
the frick
one
is
job,
up.
bro. You had one job.
I did. I even offered. I was like, "Did you want me to introduce the episode earlier?" And you're like, "I'll introduce one. You introduce one." I was like, "Yeah, sure, that works totally fine." And then dude, you know what? I knew what it was, and for some reason, saying it, I totally doubted myself. But I had it right too. I said Uncaged Creativity, right? Didn't I? The first time?
You said the first time, but the second time, I don't know what happened in your brain. It just did that SpongeBob thing where he runs around and he's looking to the filing cabinets for his name.
Oh my gosh, it really did. Well, regardless, you know what? They know the title because it's the titles. They can see it, so they don't even need to hear me say it anyway. They know what the frick they know. You know what you clicked on. Congrats, you clicked on it and you're hearing it. You're here. Thank you for being here. Let us know in the comments if you have any ideas for future podcasts, future videos, future content, whatever stuff you want us to talk about, anything like that. We'd love to hear your suggestions. Today, we are talking about something that by the time you've heard this will have been released, that is not released yet while we're recording this, which is my newest record, Terrible21, a semi-live room celebration. And it features some of my dearest friends, including Crown and Chains, including Until Further Notice, and including this handsome individual who I'm talking to right now.
I am not wearing any shorts. What is that noise? Are you hitting something?
I was stomping in laughter. It was a comedic stomping. That. So there's two ways.
I'm glad I made you laugh.
There's two ways I can interpret your "I'm not wearing any shorts," and either one is hysterical to me. Oh my gosh, dude!
What an entrance! What an entrance! I don't know what else to say after that. I feel like I have nothing better to say.
Oh man, that is too funny. Yeah, so we're talking about Terrible21, which has been a dream project of mine for a while. And it went from a dream to you have 2 weeks to do this really quickly. But it's finally done.
I believe you told me about it when we were the first time I heard about it. I think maybe it was the second time. I thought it was the first time. I just bounced around 4 times. When we were walking to film Bulletproof Umbrella, I think that was that the first time or was that the second time? I think you mentioned it before.
We talked about it earlier. I think I talked about this. I've had it's been in the works in terms of vision casting since before Evolving. I kind of had the idea of it'd be really cool to just drop a record on my birthday and kind of celebrate 21 years. And really quickly, I wanted it to be, if it was going to be a celebration of music, I needed it to, it's called a celebration of music and a celebration of life, right, is the idea. And if it was going to do that, I needed to combine a few of the different things that I was about. And when I realized that I wanted it to be pop punk inspired, I was like, well, son of a mother frick, that means I need a guitarist. Obviously, I ended up landing on, let's get a bunch of guitarists. But yeah, I think I remember hitting you up. I think it was just over text, and then I didn't really talk about it again. But I remember hitting you up around the time I was working on Evolving and being like, hey, if I was to do a record, would you be down to play guitar on it? And you were like, you did your
Right.
Christian thing, and you were just like, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things where you were like, you had like a million other things that was going on, and I say yes, and then we do something else, and we forget about it, and then like you just hit me up, and then I'm like, oh, we're still doing that, and then we do it, not out of, like in a bad way, but it's like it's pretty cool that you can keep track of all this stuff. Do you have like a spreadsheet somewhere of this
Dude,
stuff?
I'm gonna be honest. I really need one. I don't. I I'm just working on everything at the same time with no system or order, and I'd probably be a lot more productive if I did have a spreadsheet or I did have even a schedule for my day. But you mentioned the last episode we just recorded, the Bulletproof Umbrella one. I can't remember if you mentioned it on air or off air, but you talked about how you schedule everything you do on your calendar. I don't have a calendar. I don't put things on my calendar. I don't put things on a schedule or a spreadsheet or everything that I'm working on is in documents in the Notes app on my phone or on Word on my laptop. And there's not like set times or set goals to accomplish in there. It's just very disorganized. I would probably benefit from some organization for sure.
I'm surprised you can be as high functioning like that. Like if I don't write anything down on my calendar, that's like the smallest task I will forget. So props to you, my friend. Props
Thank
to
you. It gets messy when I'm in college because I don't schedule college stuff either. So it gets really messy when I'm in college and I'm working on my 8 bazillion projects. But yeah, so while I was recording, so here's just to get an idea of what goes through my head at a given moment. While I was recording Evolving, no, actually, you know what? Let's pick a specific moment in time, Christian, that you would know. While we were filming Run It / Run It 2, okay? You remember these filming dates?
I do.
While we were filming that, I was rapping. I was in the studio for Evolving, recording. I was writing the final songs for Evolving lyrically. I was mixing and mastering Evolving. So that's like all Evolving was in full production swing. At the same time, I was running final production on Bulletproof Umbrella, and I was writing up the script for Bulletproof Umbrella and visiting the location. And I was lyricizing and writing the melodies to the Terrible21 EP all at the same time.
Yes, it sounds like you sir need a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I like I said, I think it would be really useful to have one. I've just never done that.
So let me ask you this. Where did the inspiration for this come from?
Yeah. There's a few places. I'd say the biggest one, honestly, has been therapy, strangely enough. I have a really, really amazing therapist. And one of the things I've learned to do is I've realized, and I kind of always knew this, I just didn't like know it consciously, but I've never been able to celebrate my accomplishments before. Um, and I think you've even heard me talk about it, just not as directly as this, but when I release something, I don't spend time to kind of bask in the release, or I don't like look at it as, wow, look at this great thing I did. Instead, it's
Yeah, you're just on to the next one.
I go to the next thing, and I'll even talk about the past as, if you ask me about it, almost always I'll say, yeah, it's a great track. I wish I did this different. I wish I did this different. Like I'll criticize it. I won't just accept it and celebrate it. And what I've realized through therapy is that comes from a lot of deep-seated issues that I just hold in my self-image and in the way I look at myself. Like I struggle to find self-love. I struggle to celebrate who I am as a person. And I just struggle in general to celebrate my accomplishments. And through now almost 2 years of therapy, I've learned to start celebrating my accomplishments and who I am. And it's a slow process. And I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near the degree of self-love. I think I'm at self-like right now. Like a self-toleration maybe. I'm getting there.
Would you say you're dating yourself to see if you like yourself or not?
Dude, I don't even think we're dating. I think we're in that awkward stage where we're like texting and then like there's something there, but like neither of us wants to admit it, and so we like intentionally ghost each other for a little bit to make sure that we don't seem too attached, but we like are definitely a thing. I'd say that's where I'm at in this like relationship with myself.
Yeah, it sounds like you might want to make the move here and like go for the handhold or something.
Yeah,
and just
no,
kind of
I
initiate
think
that.
I think you're right. I think there's new steps to be taken, and I'm getting there. I really am. And to me, this record partially came from I wanted to celebrate who I was for the first time. I wanted to take that step and be able to celebrate the fact that I survived to be 21, which without going too deep into my story and making this more emotional or even possibly triggering for other people, it does feel like an accomplishment to me to be alive at age 21. But also to celebrate, I've released, I just put out the number not long ago. In 2020 alone, I released 50 something songs across 5 projects.
Right, I remember you posting about that. You said something about posting, like, it was a lot of songs and like a lot of videos
and 9 videos,
a lot of
which
demos.
Most of those are yours too. Like a ton. I've just did a ton of stuff. And that's just the last year. And so I wanted to, you know what? I'm working on this in therapy. And the biggest thing about therapy is that you can't let therapy just be something that happens in your hour in the room. You have to take it and live it and apply it. And I was like, I want to apply this lesson I'm learning of, self-like, I'm going to call it, and celebrating my accomplishments. And I'm going to do it in the best way I know how. I'm going to do it through music.
So then why is it called Terrible21?
Yeah, that's a great question. And by the way, have you listened to the whole thing? I know it's not out yet, but you have the folder, I believe. Have you listened to it or some of it or?
No, I listened to the entire thing when you sent it over the first time.
Okay, gotcha.
The entire thing. Yeah, I was actually, I will tell you my favorite track and all that afterwards.
Okay,
but yeah,
sounds
go ahead.
Good. So it's called Terrible21 because, and I mention it in dramatic monologue or whatever, I guess, which is the first track. That I wanted, if I was going to celebrate 21 years of living, I didn't want it to be a birthday party, if that makes sense. Well, what's a birthday party? A birthday party is everything's great, everything's fine. Look, all your friends are here. We're so happy, and it's fake. Like, birthday parties always feel fake to me. It's like I'm supposed to forget that stuff's wrong outside of these doors. Like, no, I'm still in a bad mood. I'm still a punk kid. Like, not everything's great. And if, I think the line I say in dramatic monologue is I wanted to celebrate my 21 years of living the way I lived those 21 years through existential angst and through introspection. And, the truth is, for me, 21 is a celebration. It's look, I made it. But it's also like, man, I went through some crap and I'm still going through some crap. And like, yeah, I'm hyped, I'm alive and I'm doing it. But also, like, it's not a Daniel Sherman song or album or project if I don't talk about what I'm struggling with. And I wanted to still talk about that too.
And let me tell you, man, you will, and me being 26, almost 27, you still feel like that.
Oh, I'm sure. I have no doubt.
Yeah, and you kind of just start to forget things. You kind of like forget where you park, and then you go to the store to buy one thing, and then you leave with like 6 different things that you didn't even plan on getting. It happens,
Yeah, so that was where the inspiration for the idea of Terrible21 came from, was that I was celebrating, but like, to be honest, like, my mental health is still not great. I'm in therapy. I'm better than I've ever been, but like, I also know that, like, yeah, I'm sad a lot of the time, and like, it sucks. Or like, there's a lot going on in the world. Like, I even mentioned 2020 on the record. Like, last year sucked, and guess what? This year still kind of sucks. We have a lot of the same crap going on. Like, I don't know. It felt fake for me to do a happy album. I didn't want to do like, hey, let's celebrate my birthday. Here's a bunch of happy songs. People would be like, who the frick are you? And what have you done with Daniel Sherman? This is not you. Like, they know my content. They know my heart. They know my head. They know all this stuff. And so I wanted to stay true to me while also, I hope the tone of the album hit that, where it's stuff sucks, but yay.
That's all we can really do. So that explains the whole Terrible21. And I kind of like the way you put that, where it's like, it's not a birthday party, but it's, your way of celebrating. Because I feel the same way about like birthday parties and not to bash, but, in my own personal opinion, like weddings, it's for other people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Now that I think about it like that, it's like you like having like, 6 of your friends. I forgot how many songs are on there. 6 of your friends or whatever. And we're like, hey, let's just jam. Let's just like see what we can put together.
Yes.
And that's kind of how this whole thing feels.
Yes. Dude, I love you so much for saying that. That is so exactly what I wanted it to feel like. I I wanted to capture, you know what the specific thing I wanted to capture was, and I talked about it in my my origin story podcast, the first episode, on my episode of it. I mentioned like sitting down with Tyler and Jacob and Ian Craig and making the Demos EP. I wanted to capture the heart of a Demos EP, and turn that into a celebration of life, if that makes sense. And that's what I hope this kind of feels like, is this weird, like the quality's not great, but I don't want it to be either. I want it to be, that's where Semi Life Room comes from, right? It's a lot of the stuff's one take or it's just unedited and it comes through raw, but it's fun and it's real and it's music and it's kind of like I don't really care to make it sound as amazing as I could. I want it to just be a celebration. You know what? I'd like to call it like an anti-birthday party. It's like, instead of inviting a bunch of people to my house to act fake for 2 hours and eat cake and have a time with me, it's exactly like what you said. It's like I invited 7 friends over and I was like, yo, you want to come over and we'll play instruments for a little bit and then we'll talk about why our lives suck? Like, that's my birthday party. Like, if my birthday party was going to be a real Daniel Sherman birthday party, that's what I would do. I'd be like, come, bring an instrument, we'll jam for 30 minutes, and then we'll talk about why life sucks. That would be me.
That is the most emo thing I think I've possibly ever heard. We would have been great friends in high school. We would have been great friends.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I think I probably would have been, based on the way you described yourself, I would have been too intimidated to talk to you because you're literally like the coolest. In high school, you were the coolest person on the planet, being a skater kid who played guitar at lunch. Like, that's so dope.
Could you imagine the trajectory of, number one, my life, if that would have happened, if I would have met somebody that's as like dedicated? Because like throughout my whole high school thing, even like up until I was like probably 22, so I guess this kind of ties in 21 thing.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the people I hung out with and did stuff with, they were always like, yeah, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go do this, let's go do that. But we never did any of that. Somebody always had an excuse. Somebody kind of always chickened out. So imagine if that would have happened. Like, I probably would have kept doing the music thing for sure.
Yeah. That is crazy to think about.
So with that being said, with you talking about, you know, what it meant to you, what you were going through, honestly, to me, it really did kind of blow what I thought of it, like, out of the water. It just, I was like envisioning like a full on like Ramones style kind of punk rock album. So when you sent it to me and there was some piano in there,
Yeah.
I did expect the acoustic guitar because you said that. It did hit different. But it's like all your albums, all your EPs are so different, but they're you at the core. Like, none of this sounds like Crown to Chains. None of this sounds like Uncaged. None of this sounds like It's Us at all. And it's cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love that I'm still able to do that. I do worry that someday the gimmicks, they're not gimmicks. I'm worried that someday they'll be viewed as gimmicks and that I won't be able to do it anymore. I won't be able to surprise people. But I think this time I still was able to.
Let me tell you, I feel the same exact way with creating videos and photos, stuff like that. I feel like eventually one day somebody's going to be like, oh, he's doing that thing he did in this other video again.
Yeah.
So I know what it feels like.
Yeah. But, I will say, I think this one, actually, let me tell you a story that you haven't heard yet. That to me it's the most frustrated I've been in a long time, but it also was affirming in a weird way. So not last night, 2 nights ago, I got the final files, I mixed, I mastered, and I distributed, right? Which means the music, the album art, all that stuff is out of my hands. It's in the hands of my distributor, who I'm not going to name for the sake of not having them get mad at me for what I'm about to say about them. They're in the hands of my distributor, and then it goes into the world, right? Well, last night, I get an email at 11 p.m. from my distributor. And the email says, we're here to inform you that we've blocked your release of Terrible21, a semi-live room celebration, because any live songs need to have live in their title. And so you need to fix this and then distribute. Followed by, also, we don't work weekends. We only work Monday through Friday. So the soonest we'll be able to redistribute your album is Monday, regardless of when you fix this. So let me preface this with, I've spent probably 40 to 50 hours on this record in the last 2 weeks. I've been getting home at like 2 a.m., because I'm working on mixing or re-recording or just, doing the things you do. And I finally conclude it. I finally try to distribute the album, and then it gets blocked for something that's not even true because it is not a live album. They are studio, right? Like you recorded and you sent me something. UFN recorded, they sent me stuff. Crown and Change recorded, they sent me stuff. We use studio equipment where I did post editing. It's not a live record. It's a semi-live room record, which to me, I was so pissed because A, they don't get it, and B, they've just blocked my release because of it.
Is this like an automatic message that you get, or is this like
No,
somebody
it's a
actually
real person. It's a real
responding to
person.
you? Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so someone saw it and said, "Oh, this is a live album," because they didn't understand the premise, and they blocked it. Luckily, so the good news is that I feel like I need to tell you the end of the story first. You're not like, wait, so the record's not coming out on time. Last night, I wrote a very heated, angry email back, which I had to apologize twice in because I apologized twice because I was like, I don't get angry. I'm really angry at you right now. And I just explained this is not a live album. Very systematically and methodically, I explained why it's not a live album, why to call it one would be offensive, and why they needed to distribute as is, because I was not about to let them take Semi-Live Room out of the album title either. So I sent this really heated email, and when I tell you they responded at 3 a.m., which their offices are closed. No one's in the office. I don't know who was there, but someone got this email from me, probably pissed themselves, and then sent it because they didn't want any more of my wrath.
I've never seen you mad, so
Dude,
I could probably...
I don't get angry.
Yeah, I could probably imagine
I just
that.
don't. And when I get angry, I don't know what to do with it because it's such an unfamiliar emotion for me. Like, I can get frustrated or anxious, but anger is like really uncommon, and I was pissed. I was fuming. You don't want to see me when I'm angry.
So why were you so set? I mean, I completely get it, but like, why not just drop that? Even if you were to drop the live part, would they still take that long to distribute it? Or
here's why. That's a great question. To me, what I was doing was I was trying to do something different. It wasn't live. It's not like we hit record and we one-took everything and then I post-edited. But it wasn't also studio where I did like 50 takes of vocals to make sure they were right. And I did, it truly is, no one's ever done, to my knowledge, a semi-live room album. It really is somewhere in between studio and live. And that's kind of where I wanted it to feel like demos. So what it is that the vocals are studio quality, but I did probably 5 to 10 takes of vocals for each song, and I refused to splice. Every song you're hearing a 1-take vocal. It's studio. Sorry, someone else just tried to call me. It's studio because I made sure it was polished and it was good, but it's not live room because, it's not studio either because it's a 1-take vocal track. Does that make sense?
it does. That completely makes sense. Now, you really wanted to accentuate the fact that this is something different.
Yeah,
something
and
that nobody's ever done before.
To take out semi-live room from the title implies that it's studio, which it's not. And then to put live next to every song title like they wanted would imply it's a live album, which it's also not. It's something completely new in between. And so, to me, the reason I said that it was really frustrating, but it was also affirming, it was affirming because it meant they didn't get it, and I didn't want them to get it. Like, I wanted it to be, what the frick is this kid talking about? And that's what it was. And so even though it was frustrating that it added another block in the way for me releasing this thing, and I was like ready to punch stuff last night, man. I seriously was. I tweeted. Some people who are watching this or listening to this might have seen my tweets. I tweeted a bunch of angry tweets, and then I went back and deleted them all and was like, you don't angry tweet on Twitter. Everyone knows it's a bad idea. And I just texted a few people. I was like, calm me down. I'm really pissed off. And I was like fuming, but at the same time, it was cool to be like, I did something so unique that the distributor didn't know what to do with it. It kind of felt good in a weird way.
Yeah, and it completely makes sense why you stood up to keep that title. You really did do something different that nobody else has done. It's like a hybrid album, EP,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and then I wanted it to be different in so many ways too. Like lyrically, it's just a weird record. I mean, songs like Ceiling Fan um or listen to this song in the shower. Songs like that are deeply personal to a level that I don't think anyone will ever fully understand what I'm saying. I think you can tie allusions to these tracks from other projects where I've talked about what I talk about on those songs, but in general, they're so vague that you're just gonna have to apply your own meaning, right? Like lyrically, it's very personal, almost to a fault, which is what I love, that people can't fully relate because they don't know what I'm saying. And then there's the genre thing where to do an acoustic pop punk album, like we've all heard pop punk songs turned acoustic, like a pop punk artist will sit down and cover one of their own songs with acoustic instruments. No one's written pop punk to be acoustic. And
That's true.
and and that gives it, I mean, you're hearing me do these total punk melodies and lyrics over one piano in the song Terrible21, which I love. I'm really proud of opening it that way to kind of set expectations on you're getting into uncharted territory here. It's me at a piano doing punk. Like, welcome. No one does that. And I really wanted it to feel unique, but kind of like you said earlier, it's different than anything you've heard before, but it's also so undeniably me at the same time.
It had the elements of you, but it's different than anything else. So with you giving us a backstory of how this thing came about, what was the inspiration behind it, the whole issue you had with publishing, which honestly I had no idea. So that's like, I would completely understand. I've had like moments where, it's like, oh, this video is like, we need it tomorrow. And I would just like sit there for like 2 days straight, like not leave my chair and like edit it and only to edit it, hand it in. And then they're like, actually, you got another week. And then the amount of like, oh, so I completely understand that. And then to talking about, you really wanting to keep that title. With all that being said, what is your favorite track on that album? Now, I am on this EP, so if you do not say it, I promise you my feelings will not be hurt. Tell me, what is your favorite song?
It's between two songs. And let me preface this also by saying that this is like, and when I say this, let me preface my preface. When I say this, it's not bashing you for asking me this question, because it's an important question to ask, and it needs to be asked. I hate favorites. I'm really bad at them. I'm really bad, and my answer will change like on any given day. So I'm gonna say this today, what my favorites are. You ask me in a week, they might be different, but I would say.
All right. Let me preface your preface of your preface by asking you this. You can get in your car and you can pick one song to listen to from that EP right now. Just one song. Which one would it be?
Here's to Another Year. I would say that's my number one.
Good choice.
You see, the problem is though, I'd have to say it's a tie between Here's to Another Year and Ceiling Fan. I think Ceiling Fan has been my favorite since I wrote it lyrically, and then hearing what UFN added to it, they're just so freaking talented, man. And Sadie's, no, she wrote the second verse lyrically too, and it's not at all what I expected to go there, but it's so perfect at the same time. I really love that track also, but I'd say like if you were to ask me in this moment, it would be a really difficult tie between Ceiling Fan and Here's to Another Year, for sure.
Ceiling Fan was my favorite. I'll go ahead and say it now. That was my favorite before I even heard the UFN vocals.
Yeah.
So after I heard it, dude, I wanted to shed a tear. That thing is beautiful. It's a masterpiece. Even though like you didn't want it to be like polished or anything, it sounds so like legit. It sounds like both of you are in the studio together, like singing back to back.
Yeah, which is, man, I love that. Again, there's not many artists who can do that. Who can? So my original plan for this record, and we've talked about this. I guess I should say it on here too. I wanted to get everyone involved in the record in the same room at the same time, and just lay stuff down together. I thought that would have been super fun. Obviously, with COVID, I wasn't sure whether we'd still be in the difficult situation we're in. Surprise, Terrible21, we are. And so I got Crown and Chains to record in a situation where I could be in the room, but like literally 100 yards away. We recorded in our church sanctuary. or auditorium maybe is a better word. And so I was super separated from them and distanced, but still in the room to kind of direct and work with them on it. UFN, a testament to their talent. I gave them a really crappy demo of me singing the song on ukulele. And I say, these are the chords. And then I played the song on ukulele, just singing to my phone, and I sent it to them. And because of COVID, and then with my nephew being born early and needing to keep him safe and stay distanced, I told them, like, look, guys, if you could just self-record, I know it's not ideal, but it would help out so much with getting to do this safely and getting this track to sound good. And they just owned it. They're like, yep, let's do it. And man, you wouldn't have no idea that I wasn't in the room singing with them or guide or directing them or working with them. They just totally owned the track.
Yeah, they completely preserved that in the whole recording, like the vibe of it. Like it's weird because like Sadie, it doesn't sound like she's singing. It's like I don't know. It's singing, but I don't know. It sounds like so like vulnerable.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I haven't talked to Sadie in depth about what she laid down yet. I really want to. That'll definitely happen eventually. But man, she really leaned into the, like you said, the vulnerability and almost fragility of the song. When I sing it, I have this punk attitude of God, I need you again. Like it's kind of still in your face a little bit, but it through the instrumentals and through the lyrics, I was still expressing that vulnerability of the track. And Sadie came in with that fragility to her voice, or that almost, I don't want to say brokenness, but you know what I mean by that? Like she totally came in
exactly.
And just, man, it was beautiful. It really was. And the lyrics and the harmonies and man, she blew me away on that track. Not that Jack and John also didn't blow me away. But wow, Sadie really brought something really special to the table on that one. That what I messaged them after I heard their files for the first time was, thank you so much for making my favorite track on the record undeniably like the best track on the record as well.
Yeah, that one is a tearjerker for sure. If you guys haven't heard it, that one's like done another level. That one's like all of it is good. Don't get me wrong, but that one like stood out. Like I said, even from before I heard it with Sadie's vocals, I was just like, I don't know what this is gonna turn into, but it's gonna be powerful. Like I was totally expecting Sadie to just like belt and just like give some like punk rock kind of vocals, but what came out of it was incredible.
Yeah. I'm so glad she did. I think if I was in the room directing, like I planned on, I would have told her to belt more. I'm so glad I wasn't because of what came out of it. It really did. It made the song, like I said, before I even knew who was, well, I kind of always knew UFN was going to feature on that one, which is why in the bridge I mentioned it's a habit I've kept. That's wordplay.
Nice.
But before I even knew how they were gonna lay it down or what it was gonna sound like, really, that track just felt really special to me. How many songs do you hear where the overarching metaphor is I'm staring at a ceiling fan at 12:26? Like, what the frick is that? It's unique, but it also somehow, even though it's really specific and really unique, it's applicable to, I think, a lot of people, and it just hits. It really just hits.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love stuff like that when they say things like that in song, that it's such a like weird detail, but it made me think like, what was I doing at 12:26? It was like that kind of like relatability,
That's really cool.
So with the breakdown of that song, let's talk about the one that we recorded together.
Yeah.
Which what was the title of that one?
Another Hit, Please.
If you may. Another Hit, Please. That song, so when I heard it the first time, when I heard the lyrics, I was like, is this song about doing drugs? Spoiler alert, it's not.
It's not. It's not about doing drugs. That's exactly what I wanted people to think. Like I pictured, what was really funny? I pictured like my pastor or my youth pastor listening to that track and like shutting it off and calling me before it was finished. Like that was the reaction, the gut reaction I was hoping people would have, of like, people who know me will know, like, Daniel doesn't do drugs. And then kind of for a second, I want you to go, does he? And then get to the end and be like, no, he doesn't. Like, that's what I wanted you to feel like.
I love the end. I love the end.
So good. Yeah, so this is how that song went down. Was I had these lyrics that were just, for me, bizarre. In a good way though. You know, it's that exact thing where I'm singing about doing drugs, and obviously I don't do drugs. And so I hit Christian up. I told him I wanted him originally on multiple songs on the record, and then I said, you know what? It's kind of, the concept has evolved a little bit. I think I just want you on this one. And I was like, send me like a really, just that, he had sent me a few riffs before. I wanted that punk riff that he played on that track. I said, send me that riff, do it just on an acoustic guitar, and I'll just add whatever I want to it. And what Christian sent me back was what he thought was a demo. And what I immediately said, done. I was like,
that was like, I was kind of a little concerned about how the quality of that one was gonna be, because I don't have proper equipment to record music. I mean, what I do is like super, what's the word? Ghetto.
Yeah.
So I was a little concerned. My only thought was to like use an electric guitar and just set it to clean and do it, but it still doesn't sound acoustic. So what I ended up doing was, this mic that you're hearing this now on has a bunch of attachments and has a condenser mic on there. So my first initial track, which first of all, Daniel asked me like 2 days before, he's like, can you do this in 2 days? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll totally.
I'm so sorry about that, by the
way. So I made it happen. I told Daniel, hey, like, I know I told you I can get this to you in 2 days, but the way it's looking, like, I might have to give it to you. Like, you asked for it Tuesday, and I was like Wednesday morning at like the latest. So part of it, honestly, and it kind of shows you to like, it kind of like opened the door to like see how my mind works.
Yeah.
I was so overwhelmed with the task of it, it's like, oh, what if I record it and it sucks? What if I record it and I send it to him and he doesn't like it? And like, I'm in there for like 4 hours recording a 1.5-minute song. And so I ended up just, slapping the mic on.
Yeah.
And my intention was just to play it to test audio levels. Like when I hit record, that's the track. I hit record and I was just going to test the audio levels. So I just started playing it. I started playing the opening riff, and, I was going to break it down and be like, oh, here's the intro, here's the verse, here's the chorus, here's the outro.
Yeah.
But, I've never actually put together all those parts in one sitting. So I just started playing the first riff, and then I went into the next one, and then I went to the next one, and then I went into the next one, and I kind of improvised it and just sent it to him, and I'm like, hey, let me know if this sounds like crap. And if it does, then I'll try something else.
Which is exactly how you worded
like
that. That's exactly how you worded that. You said, let me know if this sucks, basically.
Yeah, and turns out you loved it. And I didn't even play that. I played that without a metronome, and I didn't even like bother to check if my guitar was in tune. I just like I said, it was just purely an audio test, but it turned into what that is.
Yeah. And so what I loved about that track, and why, if you were to tell me a third favorite, I'd probably say that song, which might surprise people. I think that song is going to divide a lot of people, by the way, which isn't anything to do with you and your guitar ability and what any of that.
No.
The song is just out there, which is why it's one of my favorites. What I loved about your track was that it was skilled, first of all. Like the riff was great, and the quality was fine. With all your worries about quality, it turned out really great. But it had this frickin' style to it. I think the guitar wasn't out of tune, but it also wasn't perfectly in tune either, which I loved. And there were a few moments where you would slip barely out of time, not enough where someone who's not a drummer or a producer would notice it, but you slipped barely out of time. And I loved that, because I wanted this to be a total punk track. To call it a pop punk, semi-live room, acoustic, whatever the frick I called it, right? It needed at least a song that stayed true to the frickin' aggression of punk. And it perfectly captured that in your demo recording. And so I was like, I'm just taking that motherfricker. And I took the vocals. I put some effects on your guitar, mainly just a spread so that it felt fuller. And then I actually you won't know this if you listen to the track, but I doubled your guitar. I copy pasted the lanes, barely offset it, and slapped a ton of reverb and then sat it way back in the mix so it would just sound fuller as well. Which just made it feel a little bit more like a track instead of a demo. And then when I recorded my one take vocals, I didn't touch them. I didn't put reverb, I didn't put effects, I didn't spread, I didn't do anything. I just left them raw and I mixed them in. So I set the volume levels and that was it. And
like you said, it's a very polarizing track. Like there's like a few people I've showed it to, and it's either like, dude, this is tight, or it's either like, what the hell is this?
yeah. And I fully expect that when people listen. I think maybe too, if you showed someone just that track and were like, hey, listen to this track, I think it would make no sense. Like people would be like, this is something that's getting released into the world. But when you hear it in the context of the record, specifically, if you even just listen to Dramatic Monologue, which sets the tone for, you kind of need to hear that to know what you're about to listen to. If you listen to that and then you listen to it, you're like, oh, I get it. And even then, like I sent it to a buddy of mine who's heard the whole album, and he's like, were you going for loud and obnoxious? And I was like, that's exactly what I was going for, motherfricker. Like that's exactly what I want.
I love that you like stayed true to that, because even like I struggle with that a lot too. Like I like to be like a perfectionist, and if I'm gonna put something out there, like I always say if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. So I had a ton of anxiety recording that because I was like, it's gonna sound like crap, and what if like I mess up or something? And like, not to mention the action, which is like how high the strings are from the fret on my acoustic guitar, is like 6 inches. Ooh. It's ridiculous. So you have to press down super hard.
Jeez.
So that's why every time I would slide, it was so hard and painful. So it kind of helped me just like do it, and it's like, here you go. And like it's whatever, it's really raw, and it just kind of helps me get over that whole thing. Even like with this podcast, how it just like, oh well, everything needs to be perfect before we can even get started.
Yeah.
It's something that just totally happened on the fly, and I'm glad that you like took it and ran with it, because I totally would have been down to record like for like that whole night and just get it right. But the way it came out, it's just fun. That's it. It's just fun.
I want to ask you, because I haven't asked you this. What was your honest first reaction when you heard what I laid down on top of it and sent it to you?
I literally LOL'd.
Was it like was it like a laugh of this is hilarious, I love this, or was it a laugh of what the frick?
It was a laugh of like, this is great.
Oh, cool.
Like, so because my girlfriend was there on the couch, she's like, what are you listening to? And I'm like, oh, it's that track I just recorded. She was like, oh. And I was just sitting there like dying, because it was like, it's so raw, and like, especially if you know the backstory of it, like it was just literally like a one take thing, and it wasn't even meant to be serious, and it just turned into that.
Yeah.
It just has that whole attitude of like you said, just put it out there, and if people don't like it, they don't like it. But it was fun. Like you said, it's like a celebration. A bunch of your friends come over and one of them plays a stupid riff, and then you just start singing over it, and then it is what it is, and it turns into a fun party.
Dude, what I picture,
that's the fun party song.
What I picture when I listen to that track is like me in the driver's seat, you in the side with the guitar, and me just screaming while I'm driving, and you're playing guitar.
Hold on.
That's what I picture.
Dude, that was the idea I had for the video. For Ava, if we ever do one, that was one I had. I would either be in like the passenger seat, just like totally like jamming out to the acoustic guitar, or I would be like in the back seat, just like going nuts, like rolling around, like not even focusing on playing the guitar, just rolling around with the guitar and like trying to play it.
Dude,
that's hilarious.
That. I think we should do it. We'll make it happen. But
yeah,
that's totally what
I was trying to figure out how I would.
I'm glad that you laughed in a way where you loved it, because I like recorded it and I was like, I almost felt bad for you, because the rest of the record's like a fairly serious record. I mean, even the song right before it is Ceiling Fan, which is this very serious song. And I was like, I don't want him to feel like he got gypped in terms of like getting like a really serious song. And I was like, because I totally just made this like a really aggressive punk, really fun track. And I was like, I was nervous that you were I almost thought I offended you, to be honest, when I said it, because of the frickin' attitude so much. But I genuinely, like, I love that track so much, and I'm really glad to know that you got it and you understood that this wasn't like a throwaway song for me. This was like it really held on to the attitude of what the record was, and it brought in an element that the record really needed, I felt like. And so I'm glad you saw that. I was like seriously so nervous that you were going to be offended or you weren't going to like it or something.
Nah, anytime I could go and, go a little bit back to my roots and just like play guitar really loud and obnoxiously, that's what I do. That's what I've been doing, and even like when I do go back and eventually write music, like that's what I want to do. It just, if it feels good, just put it out there instead of like trying to get it perfect and trying to make this huge rise and then come to this big, like, moment in the song where everybody's feels like they're releasing doves into the air. So with this song, it kind of like, it pushed me in a way to like feel a lot more confident to just do it. And even if people don't like it, it's like whatever, and like I said, once people hear the story about it, it's like, it's you kind of have to know kind of thing. And if you like it, then it's like a fun party song.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be a song that, I'm going to be honest. You asked me earlier, what's the first song you put on when you get in the car? It's been that song like half the time also.
Me too.
Like I put that on and I'm just like, it is so fun to drive in the car and just yell to that song. Like I really love, like people probably think I'm a maniac, but I love hopping in the car and just like yelling, and I roll, and I roll, and I roll, and I roll. Like it's so freaking fun, man. So I love that I got you. I love that I was able to make you a part of the record because I wanted, I really wanted everyone who's really impacted my music career and just my life in general to be on that record. And I'm so glad that I, A, found a way to have you on there, and B, I found a way to get you on there that was kind of consistent with what we do in the sense where it was this really spontaneous, not at all what we expected thing that kind of came out of it.
I feel like that's everything we do, like you said.
Yeah.
I feel like that's everything we do, like you said, with the videos, with the shoots, with the photos. It's always just like we try to go one way and we just end up taking a different route. So it's kind of a good representation, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So that's everything, right? That's the whole album. That's the whole album talk, the whole meaning. Your favorite song, my favorite song, what we did on it. I really appreciate you having me on it. Like I said, it was just super fun to like just go at it, even if it was like the most ridiculous thing I've ever done in terms of like producing music. So I appreciate you having me on it. And if you guys like the song, tag us on that, because I would love to hear what everybody else's like favorite song is, whether it's that one or not, or like if you like that one, like you're an OG, because that you need some like, you need to be in a mood to hear that song.
Yes, for sure. Let us know in the comments what your favorite tracks were, and tell us your first impressions of another hit, please.
All right, you want to go ahead and close this one out?
Yeah, thank you all for watching so much. It just means a lot. Thank you for supporting the record. Actually, I don't know if you supported the record or not. You're a supportive group of individuals, so I'm going to say thank you for supporting the record, assuming that you did. If you didn't, then oops. But
yeah, and like Daniel said, feel free to drop any suggestions in the comments, or like, I think it'd be really dope to post a Q&A or whatever, and then take that and run with it. Or maybe eventually, there's a little different with COVID, but like do like a live podcast where maybe we can like, I don't know, hop on Instagram live and like we're both recording while we're looking at the comments or something like that. That would be fun.
That'd be super fun. I'd be so down for that. So down for that.
Well, you guys let us know. You say jump, we ask how high. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And you roll and you roll and you roll and you
and
roll.
And I roll 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 and I roll.
Don't do drugs, kids!
Oh man, seriously though, don't do drugs, kids.